Hey guys, it's Leah. Welcome back to my channel. You may have seen my most recent video, and obviously in that video I said I no longer live at my mum's, I live at my dad's, and you were probably very confused. And you were probably thinking, why did she move? What happened? Where did she go? You know? One of those questions was actually answered in that video. I live with my dad and my younger brother. It's a really long story. I'm not going to go super into detail because lots of people might get offended. For those who were involved, they might get a bit offended and be like, oh, you posted about it. But yeah, just in case you guys wanted to know, I'm going to give you a bit of background knowledge so you know kind of why I moved, what happened a little bit. I'm not going to give you the full story on what happened, but you know, why I moved, etc, etc. So yeah, let's get into that. Okay, so the whole story started when, well, to be completely honest, it's been going on for ages, but my mum has a boyfriend, to put it straight. And in my opinion, I hate saying that I don't like someone or that I don't really get on with people, but in this case, it kind of was that. I don't want to diss my mum and I don't want to diss her relationships. I don't want to diss anybody, especially online, but let's just say that relationship isn't the best and anyone around them doesn't get treated very well, if that makes sense. So obviously from the age of 14, I was 14, this guy has been, I'm not going to name anyone, but this guy has been very, I want to say narcissistic, but at the same time, I know that will get me in a lot of trouble. But not the greatest person to be around, let's just say that. That started when I was 14, because he got with my mum. A couple months later, my mum found out she was pregnant with my little brother Leo, that you may have seen in some of my videos. And yeah, it confused me, but I was very excited because I was going to be a big sister again after Harley. I wanted to have another sibling, but I didn't think it would be so fast. And so, yeah, during the time that my mum was pregnant and a little bit before that, at the very start, he was really nice. He seemed fine. Everything seemed fine. There didn't seem to be anything wrong with it. But midway, before my mum got pregnant, there was a certain point where they got into a few months into their relationship and it was he changed. There was a switch or something that went off. And then from then on, I don't know what happened really. But yeah, my mum had Leo and things just started to go down. Something happened when I was 14. I personally won't speak on it because I'm still, even though I'm out, I'm still stuck kind of because I go and visit every now and then. And I don't go and visit him, I go and visit my mum and my siblings because, I don't want to just leave and never speak to them again, because that's, in my opinion, that makes me feel like the bad person because, yeah, I got out, but at the same time, I'm leaving all of those people behind that I love and telling them that I'm never going to see them again because of one singular person makes me feel shit. And I'm not that kind of person. I like to be a people pleaser. I like to please people. And I try and treat everybody nicely, or as nice as I can, and they have so many chances, and once I genuinely get fed up and I cannot do something anymore, you'll know that I cannot do it anymore. So this whole thing was very stressful. It strained on my mental health. it was so difficult for me to deal with. There was constant arguments in the house, constant shouting. And when it came to the younger kids, like they were arguing over something to do with the kids, I would get involved because they were doing it around the kids and it didn't feel very fair, in my opinion. So I would obviously step in and be like, they didn't mean it like that, they meant it like this, just try and equalise the conversation a little bit. Even though it was an argument, I'd try and like calm it down a bit and just be like, look, the kids are around, let's take this down and talk about it later, or something like that. Or I try and bring up that the kids don't always mean to do things because they're just kids. And I was like, what, this is from 15 to just turned 18 that this was happening. I was having to stick up for the kids in certain situations. So yeah, it came to that point, and from that point onwards, it was very up and down constantly. I'd get on with him one minute, then the next minute I'd completely hate him. Like I could not be around him. I couldn't stand him. And I honestly, I couldn't do it. So there were a couple points where I'd, like, because of certain things that he'd done, I'd turn around and I'd say to my mum, look, I'm not doing this no more. I'm leaving, basically. And I'd grab my bag and I'd try and start packing it, and she'd stop me. And she'd be like, no, don't leave. I promise everything will change, everything will be fine. Every single time she'd always make the same promise that everything will be fine and that things will get better and that it'll get easier and that it won't always be like that. But every time she said that, I knew that she didn't mean it. If every single time I knew that she was going to say the same thing again and again and again. And me being the people pleaser I am, I thought, you know what, if I leave and I don't like stay, what could happen? Like I felt something bad, like very, very bad could happen if I left, because I was the only one there that was speaking up about everything that was happening to other people. And the weird thing is that every time someone came into the house, so like my nan, my auntie, my dad, anytime they came to the house, he would change. So like he'd go from the way he is behind closed doors to the nicest person you could ever meet. He'd get on with them. He'd be really nice. And then the next minute, boom, straight as soon as they leave, he's gone back to the same person he was. And that's what really frustrated me, because every time someone came around, he acted like a completely different person. And then that made me look like the liar when I was telling them a different story to the way he was acting. So I would always get called a liar, and I'd get called all these names because nobody believed what I was saying about him. So then obviously my 18th birthday came around. I'm skipping a couple of years because it's always just been the same, really. Most of the time I was always in my room. I couldn't come out of my room. Like, that was by my choice because I just could not stand being around them downstairs. I came down every now and then to see my brothers. There was a point where my mum stopped seeing him, and they only met up because of my little brother's sake, because obviously my little brother was his son, or is his son, should I say. So yeah, that would always be a thing where he would meet us somewhere, and we'd hand my little brother over to him for the day, and he'd spend time with him. And there was a certain time where we did that, where they were in the middle of like an argument phase and texting and stuff like that, and we brought my little brother to go and see him. And yeah, I don't know why he said what he said, but as he brought Leo back to the car, I came out to go get him because my mum didn't want to see him and didn't want to speak to him. So I went to go and get Leo from the buggy, because we have a buggy for him at the time, because he was only 2, I think. And yeah, I went to get out the car to go and get him from the buggy to put him in the car. And as soon as I grabbed a hold of the buggy to, take it off him, he walked off and he started saying all these names about my mum. I'm not going to go through the names because they're nasty names. But yeah, he just walked off down the street saying all sorts of names to my mum. And I tried to step in and I was like, can you not? Like, the kids are around. Let's not do this here. I said, just walk away. You know, I tried to stop it, but no, it didn't. Because then he turned around to me and went, no, you tell your mum to effing stop. It's her, not me. And I sat there. I stood there and I was quite confused because my mum was sat in the front of the car and she did nothing. She just sat there. She was just sat there doing nothing because she didn't want to get involved. So I strapped Leo in his car seat. I got him in the car, put his buggy in the back of the car, shut the boot, got in the front of the car, looked at my mum, and she was like, "What happened?" I said, him walking down the bloody street saying all sorts of these names about you. I was like, I'm absolutely buzzing. He cannot be doing that. That's absolutely unacceptable around the kids. I went off my head. I was so mad. And when I get really angry and really, really mad, I will start to cry. So I was on the very, very verge of crying. So yeah, we went home that day and I was very close to crying, and I'm pretty sure I went to my room and I cried that day. Because I'd had enough. Like, I was done. I couldn't do it anymore. This whole thing was affecting the entire family. My mum filed a police report a couple times on him, and then she got back with him a couple of weeks later. And this is where it all went downhill pretty quickly for me. Yeah, I went on a 2 week weekend trip. Was it 2 week? No, it was a weekend trip. It was. So like, I was gone for 2 days. And my mum was messaging me saying she missed him and stuff like that. So I phoned her up and I was like, I basically phoned her to let her know I was on my way home. And as I got home, she was like, we need to talk. And I was like, what about? And she said, well, I'm back with him. So that annoyed me as well, because we just filed a police report on him. We found out that he was on Clare's Law, which is a domestic violence law thing. And there was a bunch of other things that we found out. And I was just sat there and I was thinking, you've got kids and you're letting this man around your kid. How can you do that? Yeah, time went on. I had my 18th birthday, which you saw. Because I videoed what I got that day. And shortly after my 18th birthday, like a week or two after my birthday, he was in the house. I was at this like what do they call it? Like a training program thing, where I was training to be an LSA in a school. So every day I'd get the bus to go there. And obviously sometimes I'd ask my mum if she could pick me up, just because if I didn't have the money to get the bus constantly, I'd ask her to pick me up. And this is where it got to the point where she was like, this whole thing was confusing me. I got in an argument with them because I spoke out about it again. Because it was getting worse, I decided to speak out. So I have a little brother, Harley. And he's got a completely different dad. And my mum obviously used to be with his dad. And I used to be really close with Harley's dad. So I messaged him and I was like, Harley's not really happy. Because he kept on saying things like, I hate my life and things like that. So yeah, I messaged him and I said, Harley doesn't seem happy. A lot of things were happening at the time, which probably would have caused him to be upset about some things. So obviously he was going to act out and say certain things. So I obviously messaged his dad about that, and I was like, mum's boyfriend's being quite mean. He's, acting out in a certain way. He's not being very nice. He's calling us names, which he did multiple times. He'd shout all the time. He'd have a go at Harley quite a lot. Like, just for little mini mistakes, he'd just shout at you for. Like, there was a time where I dropped butter, like just a tub of butter on the floor, and he had a go at me for it. I just dropped butter. That's literally all I did. I dropped those tubs of butter you get? Dropped one of them. He went off at me for it for no reason. And I was like, it's a simple mistake. Why are you shouting at me? Like, you could have easily said, it's fine, pick it up, maybe let's not do that again. Instead of going, why do you need to keep on making these mistakes? It's so stupid, blah, blah, blah. But I was 17, right? I'm still learning to this day to not do certain things. I'm still learning from my mistakes. And what he didn't understand at the time. See, I'm actually getting annoyed now because I'm talking about it and it works me up. What he didn't get at the time was, I'm a kid. I was a kid. I was a child. I'm still learning to do things and to learn from these mistakes. He's a full-grown adult. He should know. He should know that those mistakes are going to happen. He should know not to react that way. It completely confused me. I was a child. I did not deserve to go through that. After I messaged Harley's dad about everything, he decided to come around the house and speak to me about it. And he told them everything. Told them everything I told him. He came over to the house wanting to speak to me. I refused. I refused to come out of my room because I knew for a fact I was going to get ganged up on. Like, I knew every single one of them in that kitchen were going to start yapping at me. And I have anxiety. And I can't be around people like that. Like, if I'm in a group of people, I can't be there. Especially if it's all, like, pointed towards me. Like, I'm the reason that they're there. Like, I can't do it. I will stay in my room. So I did. I stayed in my room. He came upstairs to my room. Started knocking on my door saying, oh, can I speak to you? And I was like, yeah, I'm not coming down though. I was like, I wanted them to speak to me in my room, not downstairs, because that's where it's all going to kick off. And then after they left a few hours late, about half an hour later, I went downstairs, just to have a fag, because obviously I smoke. Because, why wouldn't I at this point? Honestly, why wouldn't I at this point? But yeah, I went downstairs to have a fag, and I asked if I could borrow some baccy and stuff from my mum. And he full on, I to this day I remember the exact things he said to me, but he full on blew up at me. Like, he screamed at me, you will not get anything after the way that you reacted today. You will not have anything. We're not giving you anything because of what you did today. That's me saying it in the nicest way possible, but the way he put it was way worse. So he was like, after the stunt you pulled today, you're not having nothing. Don't ask for nothing, basically. But include every single swear word you can think of. I'm telling you, I don't know what that man said to my mother, but my mother turned that day. She turned against me. And I've never seen anyone treat anyone that way before in my life. So I think it was about about 4 or 5 o'clock, I packed a bag full of clothes and whatever I could find, put it on my back, and walked out of the house. I packed the bag, I walked out of the house. I made sure I had some money, made sure I had a drink. I walked out of the house, walked down to my friend's house, and I knocked on the door and I said, is here, my best mate. I said, is she here? And her mum was like, no, she's not here, but you can come in if you want. So I went in, I sat there for about 20 minutes, I think. And I messaged her, and I was like, hey, I can't go home. I just had a massive argument with my mum and her boyfriend. It was the worst thing I ever experienced. I can't go home. That's basically what I said. I do not want to go home. And I was 18 at this point, so I had every right to make these decisions. I could leave if I wanted to. So, yeah. I went to my friend's boyfriend's house because she was staying there for the night. I'm very thankful that they let me go there, and I will forever be grateful for them because, to be completely honest, they probably saved me in that night because I was at my lowest of lows that night, and I was awake half of the night just overthinking everything. I don't understand how a mother could treat her child like that or allow anyone else to treat her child like that. It just made no sense to me. But yeah, I got a lift home from my uncle. As soon as I got home, I went straight up to my room. Didn't even speak to anyone. I went straight to my bedroom. Put on the TV. I sat on my bed. And cried. She was like, I was so worried about you, just she probably wasn't, because, you know, she put herself in that situation. This had been going on for years and years and years. I rang up my cousin first, and I was like, everything blew off last night. I can't do it. I need to go somewhere, because if I don't leave right now, something's going to happen to me. And, you know, like, I was at the lowest of the lows. In those short 3 days, I think I've never drank more alcohol in my life. I think I drank, like, I was drinking all the time because I wasn't eating. Like, I didn't eat for 3 days, because within those 3 days, with the time I stayed there for, I didn't eat for 3 days. I was drinking alcohol constantly because I had cans of alcohol in my fridge. I was vaping in my room, which they didn't know about because I hid all the vapes because they tried taking my vapes away. I think I hit rock bottom at that point. And that night, my dad phoned me back, and he was like, you can come here. You can come and stay here. He was like, I don't want you staying there anymore. So if you want to, you can come and live with me. An old friend of my mum's rang me up, and she was like, you know, if you need to leave now, because it's not healthy you being there. And she was talking to my dad about everything as well. So yeah, she rang me. She helped me sort out the coach ticket, because I got a coach. I got 3 different coaches. I used the rest of my money to buy. And I'm so thankful that I did to this day. I really didn't want to go to my dad's. I'll be completely honest in saying that, because I had been told a lot about my dad and I really didn't want to leave. I wanted to stay there because I felt I shouldn't have had to leave, because that was my home. Like, that was my place. And I didn't understand why I was the one that had to leave. Like, why, you know, she was taking his side and not mine. But yeah, I technically in that moment had no choice. To me, in my brain at that point, I was like, it's either you go to your dad's and you get out, or you stay here and you basically kill yourself slowly, because being here is not working anymore. And you know more than anyone that it's just going to get worse if I stayed. So yeah, I booked my ticket for a coach the next morning. I got the earliest one I could find, which was, I think it was 7 o'clock in the morning. And I left. The next morning, I was planning on walking to the coach station because I didn't want to face anyone. I wanted to just leave and get out. But my mum drove me there, even though it was just up the road. She drove me there because she tried to sympathise with me. She was crying a lot that night. She wrote me a letter and everything as well, trying to sympathise everything and how, you know, she messed up and that she was sorry and all that. And at that point, I was in such a big state of anger and I was so upset that I didn't really care. I just couldn't be arsed with the drama of it. I spent 11 hours on the coach. And this was 3 different coaches as well, so I had to wait for each one to come on. So I did a full day of travelling. I left at 7 in the morning and I didn't get to England until about 7 o'clock at night. So it was a good few hours. But yeah, that was a really rough night for me. He picked me up because I still had an hour to go to get to his, but he picked me up from Brighton, which was the place that I went to. So yeah, he brought me to his house, and he was in a different flat before here. So yeah, I went up all these stairs to get to the top with my suitcase, and I slept in his bed that night because he went out to work, and he didn't get back till like really early in the morning. And the next day, they were meant to be moving into this flat here anyway. So yeah, I've been here over 2 months now, I think. I came here in late August and I've started college. I'm doing level 2 cooking. I feel better in myself, I want to say, but it still hurts talking about it. And not many people know why I moved, but it was a really difficult decision, and I felt I had no choice at the time. Kind of the short story of it, if you want to put it that way. But yeah, that's the story time. It may not sound real even, but it did happen. A lot of things happened that I wish didn't. I wish I could go back in time and change everything. But, you know, I had some of the worst teenage years of my life. And the fact that I'm still in my teen years and I'm still having to do everything by myself, really, it doesn't sit right with me. Like, I wish things could have gone better. But obviously, that's life. Everyone has hard times. And some people might even have it worse than me. Like, it's guaranteed that some people probably do. I'm just thankful that, it didn't go worse. But at the same time, I'm scared for my siblings that still live there. But yeah. Thank you for all your support and everyone on Instagram who has been so supportive. I really appreciate it. It means so much to me. But yeah. That's my story. It's not the full story, obviously, but I've given you a short, quick kind of thing just to go through everything that did happen. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.